As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the desolate landscape, the townsfolk settled into their homes, unaware that their quiet lives were about to be shattered by a storm of unimaginable horror. The once serene facade of the Watts household began to crumble as the truth emerged, revealing a twisted web of deceit and a chilling lack of remorse that would send shockwaves through the community. In the shadowed corners of a small Colorado town, the chilling whispers of the Chris Watts case began to weave their way through the lives of the unsuspecting residents, a dark tapestry of tragedy and betrayal that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts of many. One chilling autumn evening, as the leaves turned a fiery red and gold, the lives of Watts and his family would be irrevocably altered, and the small town would be forever haunted by the chilling revelations that would emerge from the depths of this tragic tale. In the shadowy town of Frederick, Colorado, where the relentless winter wind seemed to whisper secrets of its own, Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary young man, lived a life that would soon shatter the tranquility of the community. It was a seemingly ordinary evening when the world of Chris Watts, a seemingly upstanding family man, collided with the unforgiving reality of his heinous crimes. A husband, a father, and a worker at a local energy company, Watts maintained a facade of domestic bliss, but beneath the surface, a web of deceit and darkness was slowly unraveling. The story of Chris Watts was not just one of murder and mystery. It was a harrowing tale of a man who seemed to live in a world all his own, where the lines between sanity and madness blurred, and the consequences of his actions would ripple through the lives of those who knew him, forever altering the fabric of their reality. As the investigation deepened, the town's residents were forced to confront the darkest corners of their own humanity, questioning the very nature of trust and the fragility of life. It was a crisp morning when the neighbors, accustomed to the gentle hum of life beyond their walls, heard the faint, almost imperceptible sound of a child's laughter. It was a serene autumn evening when the lives of the Hines family were shattered beyond repair. Their home, once a sanctuary, now a scene of unspeakable horror. In the eerie quiet of a small Colorado town shrouded in autumnal hues, the tranquil facade of the Watts family home was about to shatter into a mosaic of shattered dreams and unimaginable horror. With each passing hour, the truth behind the closed doors of his picturesque home unraveled, revealing a harrowing tale of betrayal, murder, and the shattering of a family's core. In the shadowed corners of a small Colorado town, whispers of tragedy clung to the cold mountain air like the scent of pine, a haunting reminder of the Chris Watts case that left the community in shock. Yet as the day unfolded, that sound became a haunting echo, a reminder of innocence lost. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, had become the unlikely architect of a chilling web of deceit and despair. The story of Chris Watts was not just a narrative of a single family's downfall. It was a cautionary tale that exposed the chilling reality that even the most seemingly perfect lives could be consumed by the darkness that lies within. As the days turned into weeks, the townsfolk watched in horror as the Watts family disappeared without a trace, their faces etched into the collective memory of the community. But it was the chilling discovery of Shannon's body in a shallow grave that marked the beginning of a relentless pursuit of justice, a quest that would unravel the fabric of trust in this otherwise tranquil town. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile, had lured his pregnant wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, to their final resting place, a desolate stretch of highway where the night was as dark as the secrets he harbored. Amidst the grief and confusion, a single clue emerged, a piece of evidence that would lead the authorities to the chilling truth, a truth that would shake the very core of the Hines family's existence and leave an indelible mark on the hearts of all who knew them. In the heart of Colorado's picturesque Weld County, where the rolling plains meet the majestic Rockies, a chilling tale unfolded that would echo through the annals of true crime history. The investigation that followed would unravel a web of deceit, leaving the community in shock and the nation gripped by intrigue. It was a story of love, betrayal, and a mother's unimaginable loss, all wrapped around the enigmatic figure of Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man whose life would spiral into a harrowing descent into darkness. The year was 2018, and the tranquility of the small town of Frederick was shattered when authorities discovered the lifeless bodies of Watts' wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Celeste and Bella, in the family's home. Amidst the tranquility of his picturesque neighborhood, the Watts family's serene facade crumbled into a web of lies, deceit, and tragedy. A seemingly normal man with a wife and two young children, Watts' life was as ordinary as it was unassuming until the fateful day when his life took a sinister turn. The case of Chris Watts became a chilling cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of how the veneer of normalcy can conceal the most sinister intentions. As the shattering secrets were slowly unraveled, the world was shocked to discover the harrowing truth behind the smiling faces of a seemingly perfect family. As the truth slowly came to light, the chilling details of Chris Watts' sinister plan revealed a man who was anything but ordinary, and his actions would cast a dark shadow over the lives of those who knew him best. In the shadowed corners of a quiet Colorado town, a chilling tale unfolded that would captivate the nation. It was a story of deception, heartbreak, and the darkest depths of human treachery, all centered around the enigmatic figure of Chris Watts. In the shadowy, unassuming town of Frederick, Colorado, beneath the relentless gaze of the Rocky Mountains, a chilling saga unfurled with the ominous whisper of secrets buried deep within the crevices of the community. It was an ordinary autumn morning, the air crisp and filled with the scent of pine and the promise of change, when Chris Watts, a seemingly cheerful and devoted husband and father, vanished without a trace. In the shadowy expanse of a small Colorado town, the tranquil facade of the Watts family home belied the sinister secrets harbored within its walls. Chris Watts, the handsome, blue-eyed, and seemingly caring family man, had hidden a darkness within that would shatter the lives of those who knew him, leaving behind a trail of destruction and heartache that would echo through the corridors of time. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary husband and father, had always been the picture of domestic bliss, his smiling face a beacon of warmth in the community. Yet beneath that cheerful exterior, a dark undercurrent of deceit and malevolence thrummed like a beast waiting to be unleashed. Days turned into weeks, and the town was abuzz with whispers of a missing man, while behind closed doors, a web of lies and deceit was being woven by the man who would become the poster child for American domestic terrorism, the man who would be branded a monster by the media and a paragon of evil by his victims' families. As the relentless pursuit of the truth began, the world would be introduced to the chilling reality that sometimes the monster is not lurking in the dark alleys or the shadowy corners of society, but living among us, hidden in plain sight, a specter of evil cloaked in the facade of normalcy. One fateful day, the picturesque town was shattered as whispers of tragedy began to spread, unraveling the carefully woven tapestry of Chris's life and exposing the chilling truth behind the facade. That night, as the town slumbered, Watts would commit a series of heinous crimes that would leave the nation reeling. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a kind smile and a gentle demeanor, was no different. He worked at a local auto shop, repaired cars, and was known for his helpful nature. But as the sun dipped below the horizon on the chilling evening of November 15, 2018, the serene facade of Frederick was about to shatter into a maelstrom of horror. The story of the Chris Watts case is one of love, loss, and unimaginable evil, a tale that would grip the hearts and minds of millions and leave an indelible mark on the American psyche. As the police investigation unfolded, a web of lies, betrayal, and unimaginable horror emerged, leaving the entire community in shock and the nation gripped by a chilling case that would forever change the way they viewed the innocence of suburban life. In the heart of Colorado, where the mountains loom like the jagged teeth of a sleeping giant, the small town of Frederick was a picture of tranquility, its residents content with the simple pleasures of life. In the eerie quiet of a small Colorado town, the tranquil facade of the Watts family household was about to shatter into a million fractured pieces. But behind closed doors, a dark storm was brewing, and the community would soon learn the harrowing truth about the Watts' seemingly perfect life. In the eerie silence of a Colorado autumn, the tranquil town of Frederick was about to be shattered by the chilling revelations of the Chris Watts case. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of the dark, as the community gathered at the local park to mourn the loss of two innocent lives. The air was thick with the scent of fallen leaves and the distant hum of traffic, a stark contrast to the heart-wrenching tales being shared by those who had known the Watts family. As the days turned into weeks, the townsfolk were blissfully unaware of the impending disaster that would engulf the family, unraveling the very fabric of their lives and leaving an indelible mark on the history of this once peaceful community. It was a picture-perfect scene on the surface, a family of three, living their seemingly idyllic lives, with the husband, Chris Watts, a charming construction worker, and his wife, Shannon, a vibrant and ambitious real estate agent, raising their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, in a cozy home with the promise of endless possibilities. Chris, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a promising career, had been a pillar of the community, a loving husband, and a devoted father. In the serene expanse of Weld County, Colorado, the tranquil facade of the Watts family household was about to shatter under the weight of a darkening truth. It was an ordinary morning in the picturesque town of Frederick when the neighbors overheard a haunting wail, a sound so chilling that it echoed through the stillness of the neighborhood. But as the police arrived at the Watts' idyllic home, the eerie silence that followed spoke volumes about the turmoil that was about to unfold. Chris Watts, a seemingly unassuming man, was the last person anyone would have suspected of such heinous crimes. As the investigation deepened, the town of Frederick was forced to confront the unimaginable, their once peaceful existence now forever marred by the chilling truth of the Chris Watts case. Yet beneath the surface of his seemingly perfect life, a web of deceit and horror was about to unravel, revealing a man who would become synonymous with the darkest of secrets. The once picture-perfect family had become the embodiment of a twisted tale, one that would grip the nation and unsettle the very fabric of its moral compass. The story of Chris Watts would unravel into a tapestry of deception, betrayal, and unimaginable horror, a narrative that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who dared to listen. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a melancholic glow over the tranquil streets of Frederick, a place where children played and families laughed, unaware of the darkness that was about to shroud their lives. In the hushed corridors of a small Colorado town, the whispers of a chilling secret began to weave through the lives of its residents, a tapestry of dread that would unravel the very fabric of their community. It was there, in this seemingly idyllic setting, that the world would learn about the harrowing tale of Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man whose actions would shock the nation and leave a trail of heartbreak in his wake. It was a summer night that would forever etch itself into the annals of infamy, as the tranquility of the community was shattered by the unimaginable. In the heart of the serene town of Frederick, Colorado, a dark tapestry was slowly unfurling as the chilling saga of Chris Watts began to unravel. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a loving family, had been living a lie that would ultimately lead to a nightmarish revelation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the houses of quiet neighbors, the true colors of Chris's life began to emerge, revealing a web of deceit and horror that would shock the nation. As the days turned into weeks, the whispers grew louder, the secrets more dangerous, and the truth of what had transpired in the Watts home would come to light, shattering the illusion of safety and peace that had long been the cornerstone of this once quiet town. In the hushed, sun-drenched town of Frederick, Colorado, the tranquil facade of the Watts family home was soon to shatter as the chilling case of Chris Watts unfolded. Sarah, a woman with a strong sense of intuition, felt an unsettling premonition that something was very wrong. As the days grew shorter and the shadows lengthened, Chris's behavior began to shift, and whispers of his affair with a coworker, Kaylee, began to ripple through the community like an undercurrent. With a backdrop of lush greenery and towering pine trees, the story of Chris Watts and the tragic loss of his beloved wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, would become a haunting echo in the minds of all who heard it. It was an autumn afternoon in August when Chris, a handsome young husband, seemed to be on top of the world, his life filled with the sweet scent of a new marriage and the anticipation of a fresh start. In the eerie quiet of a small Colorado town shrouded in the relentless winter snow, the life of Chris Watts was a tapestry woven with secrets and shadows. Little did his wife, Sarah, and their two young daughters, Celeste and Bella, know that the warmth of their home would soon be replaced by an icy chill of suspicion. The night of August 13, 2018, would mark the beginning of a nightmare from which the Watts family would never fully recover, as Chris Watts, driven by a twisted blend of deceit and desperation, embarked on a chilling odyssey that would shock the nation and leave an indelible mark on the fabric of American justice. But as the first hints of a chilling mystery began to unfurl, it became apparent that Chris Watts was not the innocent hero he portrayed to the world. Beneath the facade of a happy family, a dark undercurrent had been flowing, a river of deceit and destruction that would eventually claim the lives of his loved ones. The world outside the cozy confines of their home was a dangerous place, and Chris had always been the guardian, the rock, the man who kept them safe. One crisp morning, as the first light of dawn broke through the heavy cloud cover, the tranquility of Frederick was shattered by the news that Chris had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of lies and a community in shock. The town of Frederick had been a serene haven for the Watts family, with Chris, a seemingly ordinary man, working tirelessly as a truck driver, his wife, Samantha, a vibrant school teacher, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, the embodiment of innocence. In the heart of Colorado, where the majestic Rockies rise like sentinels guarding ancient secrets, the small town of Frederick was forever altered by the chilling events surrounding the Chris Watts case. The case of Chris Watts was not just a mystery. It was a story that would unravel the fabric of truth, revealing the darkest corners of human nature and the chilling realization that even in the most unsuspecting of places, evil can lurk just beneath the surface. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the town, whispers of a tragedy began to spread like wildfire. It was a serene autumn evening, the leaves painting the landscape in hues of amber and crimson, when the lives of the Watts family were shattered beyond repair. The once tranquil streets were now filled with the heavy footfalls of police officers, their uniforms a stark contrast to the serene backdrop. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a loving family, was about to become the embodiment of the darkest fears that lurked in the hearts of every parent. Inside the Watts home, A family was torn apart by a web of deceit and sorrow, and the truth, when it finally emerged, would shock the entire community. In the quiet expanse of a small Colorado town, the serene facade of the Watts family household belied the darkness that would soon shroud their lives. The story of Chris Watts was not just a tale of a man who met a tragic end, but a cautionary narrative about the fragility of trust, the depths of human despair, and the relentless pursuit of justice in the face of unimaginable horror. The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting a golden glow through the windows of their modest home. But it was the sinister undercurrents beneath the surface that truly painted the evening in hues of dread. Chris Watts, a seemingly normal husband and father, was found guilty of the heinous murder of his pregnant wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. In the eerie silence of a small Colorado town, the shadow of the Chris Watts case loomed like a sinister specter, casting a chilling aura over the community. It was the summer of 2018, when the lives of the Watts family were irrevocably altered, a tale of betrayal and horror that would send shockwaves through the nation. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, spent his days at the local coal mine, his wife, Sarah, managing the local cafe, and their two young children, Bella and Nathan, playing in the backyard, unaware of the sinister storm brewing within their own home. As the investigation unfolded, the truth behind the closed doors of the Watts' seemingly idyllic home revealed a web of deceit and despair, leaving everyone questioning the true nature of the man they had known. Yet, as the evening deepened and the shadows grew long, Chris's facade of normalcy began to crack, and the true colors of his character began to surface, a toxic cocktail of jealousy and ambition that would eventually lead to the most heinous of acts, a harrowing descent into darkness that would rock the tight-knit community and shake the very foundations of justice itself. The chilling details of the case would become the stuff of nightmares, a cautionary tale of the darkest depths of human nature, where appearances can be deceiving, and the line between love and evil is perilously thin. In the eerie silence of a small Colorado town, the shadow of a tragedy loomed over the once peaceful community as the chilling details of the Chris Watts case began to unravel. It was a crisp autumn evening when the shattering news broke. A family's idyllic life shattered into 1,000 pieces as the world learned of the chilling discovery of their bodies in the snowy expanse of the Rocky Mountains. In the hushed corridors of a small Colorado town, whispers of the Watts family tragedy clung to the walls like a ghostly mist, a haunting echo of the Chris Watts case that would soon shatter the serene facade of tranquility. Amidst the snow-covered dunes and the relentless pursuit of justice, the chilling truth emerged, revealing a man whose actions would leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who knew him and the nation as a whole. Chris Watts, the seemingly devoted husband and father, had become the central figure in a harrowing tale of betrayal and heartbreak. As investigators delved deeper into the twisted web of lies and deceit that had ensnared the lives of the Watts family. It was a crisp autumn evening when the town's residents received the shattering news that their beloved high school teacher, Chris Watts, had vanished without a trace. As days turned into weeks, the community's hopes for his safe return waned, and whispers of suspicion began to circulate. Little did they know that the truth was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Their lives were a tapestry woven with the threads of domestic bliss, as they raised their two young daughters in the quaint little town of Frederick. Amidst the heartache and confusion, a web of deceit and horror was slowly being woven, one thread at a time, as the town of Frederick faced the unimaginable. The story of Chris Watts was not just about a missing man. It was about the unraveling of a family, the shattering of a community, and the chilling revelation of a man who would become synonymous with the darkest of secrets. In the heart of the serene Colorado countryside, where the rolling hills and towering pines whispered tales of peace and tranquility, there lived a seemingly ordinary couple, Christopher and Samantha Watts. But beneath the surface of this idyllic facade, a dark storm brewed, one that would shatter the very fabric of their community and leave an indelible mark on the nation's conscience. It was a storm that began on November 15, 2018, when the Watts family was found in their home, each one of them victims of a brutal and calculated crime that would unravel the lives of many and ignite a relentless pursuit of justice. It was a story that would grip the nation, a tale of love, betrayal, and the grim reality of domestic terror. The case of Chris Watts became a harrowing narrative of love, betrayal, and the chilling revelation of a man whose sinister facade hid a heart of darkness, one that would cast a long shadow over the lives of those he claimed to cherish above all else. In the eerie silence of a Colorado autumn, the small town of Frederick buzzed with whispers as the chilling details of the Chris Watts case unfurled like a dark tapestry. The Watts family, once the embodiment of suburban bliss, became the focal point of a relentless investigation that would unravel the darkest secrets of their seemingly perfect life. As the days turned into weeks, the townsfolk struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the monster they now confronted, while law enforcement grappled with the grim task of piecing together the harrowing events that led to the unimaginable. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a loving family, had lured his pregnant wife and two young daughters to their picturesque home in the mountains, only to shatter the idyllic facade with a horror that would echo through the annals of American crime. The chilling narrative of the Chris Watts case was not just a story of a man who lost his soul. It was a cautionary tale of the thin veil that separates sanity from madness and the fragility of the human heart. In the shadowy expanse of a desolate Colorado winter, the small town of Frederick was forever altered by the chilling revelations of the Chris Watts case. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a bright smile and a promising future, was the unsuspecting center of a dark web that would unravel the very fabric of their lives. His wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, were the unsuspecting victims, their lives cut tragically short in a series of events that would leave the world reeling. As the snowflakes gently descended, covering the streets in a silent shroud, the townsfolk went about their daily lives, unaware that their serene community would soon be enveloped in a maelstrom of tragedy and deceit. As the investigators delved deeper into the chilling details, the true horror of what had transpired began to emerge, painting a picture of a man who was not who he appeared to be, and a family torn apart by the unfathomable. The story of the Chris Watts case would become a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder that even in the most idyllic of settings, the darkest of secrets can lurk just beneath the surface, waiting to be exposed. In the shadowy, unassuming town of Frederick, Colorado, the tranquil facade of domestic bliss crumbled into a maelstrom of shock and horror as the chilling tale of Chris Watts unfurled. It was a picture-perfect evening, the sun dipping below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the modest homes nestled against the rolling plains. It was a serene autumn evening when Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, made headlines that would rock the nation. Little did they know that Chris's actions would echo through the corridors of justice, leaving a trail of devastation and unanswered questions in their wake. In the hushed corridors of a small Colorado town, the whispers of the Watts family's tragedy clung to the walls like a lingering mist. As the evening waned, the Watts family was preparing for a simple dinner, unaware that their lives were about to spiral into an abyss of deceit and despair. Inside one such home, however, the warmth of family life was a mask for a darkness that would soon consume it all. Chris Watts, a seemingly upstanding man, a husband and a father, was about to shatter the illusion of normalcy forever. He had been a doting father, a reliable husband, and a hardworking mechanic, but beneath the surface of his seemingly perfect life, a dark storm brewed. He had plotted, connived, and lured his unsuspecting family into a night of horror that would leave the community in shock and the nation reeling. One evening, as the golden leaves rustled and the world seemed poised on the precipice of tranquility, Chris Watts' sinister plan unfurled with chilling precision. In the shadowed corners of a once tranquil Colorado town, the whispers of the Watts family tragedy clung to the frigid winter air like a malevolent mist. The case of Chris Watts would unravel a tale of greed, deceit, and the chilling depths of human malevolence, a story that would echo through the annals of true crime lore and leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who dared to listen. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a cold, eerie glow over the desolate landscape as the townsfolk gathered in somber silence, their eyes wide with unspoken fears. It was the chilling tale of Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man whose sinister facade began to unravel under the relentless scrutiny of investigators, revealing a twisted web of deceit and heart-wrenching loss. The story began on the cusp of autumn, when the leaves turned from vibrant hues to lifeless shades, heralding a season of sorrow. Chris, a charismatic father of three, had everything on the outside: a picture-perfect family, a cozy home, and a seemingly idyllic life. In the heart of Colorado's serene plains, a dark storm brewed beneath the tranquil facade of a seemingly perfect family life. The night of the fateful disappearance, the sky was a canvas of deepening twilight, and the town of Frederick slumbered in ignorance, unaware of the horror that would soon grip its heart. The sun cast long shadows as the Watts household settled into the quiet evening routine, unaware of the impending tempest that would shatter their world. But as the autumn leaves fell, secrets began to surface, and the true colors of Chris Watts' character emerged, shattering the illusion and leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and a community in turmoil. Yet beneath the surface, a web of lies and deceit was unraveling, a sinister tapestry woven from secrets and despair. Chris Watts, a charming husband and father of three, seemed the epitome of domestic bliss, his laughter echoing through the house like the sound of innocence itself. As the story unfolded, the layers of Chris Watts' facade peeled away, revealing a man who had the power to destroy not just his own family, but the very fabric of a community, leaving behind a haunting legacy that would echo through the ages. One fateful day, the truth emerged in a chilling revelation that would shake the very core of small-town America, exposing the chilling reality that even the most ordinary among us could be harboring the most heinous of intentions. His innocent smile and friendly demeanor belied a cunning mind that was plotting a web of deceit and destruction. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a ghostly glow over the desolate landscape, the stage was set for a harrowing tale of love, loss, and the chilling depths of human darkness. In the eerie twilight of a small Colorado town, the shadow of a dark truth loomed over the seemingly idyllic lives of the Watts family. Chris Watts, a seemingly charming and devoted husband, father, and landscaper, was about to shatter the fragile veil of normalcy that had concealed his sinister intentions. As the days passed, whispers of unease began to stir among the townsfolk, but no one could have predicted the chilling crescendo that was about to unfold. In the desolate expanse of Colorado's high plains, the name Chris Watts resonated with a chilling echo that would echo through the annals of American criminal history. One fateful night, as the moon hung low and a cold wind howled through the streets, Chris Watts would make a decision that would echo through the annals of infamy, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives, shattered dreams, and a haunting legacy of betrayal and murder that would forever change the fabric of this once peaceful community. a seemingly ordinary man, Chris Watts, a husband and father of 3, led a life that was the epitome of domestic tranquility. Behind the facade of a happy family, however, lurked a darkness that would shatter the community's sense of security. In the desolate expanse of Colorado's high plains, where the whispering winds carry tales of forgotten souls, the name Chris Watts had become synonymous with horror and betrayal. As the story unfolded, it revealed a chilling narrative of obsession, betrayal, and a mother's desperate struggle to survive, leaving an indelible mark on the souls of those who dared to unravel the tangled threads of this harrowing tale. Nearby, they unearthed Bella's tiny, lifeless form, her tiny hand still clutching a cherished stuffed animal. It was on a cold autumn night in November 2018 that the true nature of Chris Watts' existence would come to light, as the world was forced to confront the brutal truth of a man who had been meticulously weaving a tapestry of lies, deceit, and horror. The local police, who had been called to the scene by Watts himself, found Shannon's body in a pool of blood, her face contorted in a final, desperate scream. It was a crisp autumn evening when the small town of Frederick was rocked by the grim discovery of the lifeless bodies of Shannon and Bella, Watts' wife and young daughter, respectively, in the basement of their home. As the shockwave of this tragedy rippled through the community, whispers of suspicion began to swirl, and the once peaceful town was thrust into the limelight of a harrowing investigation. In the shadowy corners of a small Colorado town, whispers of tragedy clung to the crisp autumn air as the story of Chris Watts unfolded like a dark tapestry, woven with threads of deceit and despair. Watts, a seemingly normal man with a seemingly perfect life, was soon charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, leaving the world to question how a man so seemingly ordinary could commit such heinous acts. On a seemingly ordinary evening, Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, became the linchpin in a web of lies and murder that would unravel the lives of his unsuspecting family. It was a tale that would shake the very foundation of justice, a narrative that would captivate the nation and leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who dared to unravel its chilling secrets. The case of Chris Watts was not just a murder mystery. It was a story of secrets, deceit, and a shattering of the American dream, one that would forever change the lives of those who knew him and those who would come to scrutinize his every move in the years to come. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the tranquil community, the stage was set for a story that would forever change the way we look at the faces of the seemingly innocent. With the click of a lock, the door to the Watts home closed, sealing the fate of those within and marking the beginning of a harrowing journey through the darkest recesses of human nature. But beneath the surface of his idyllic life, a darkness was brewing, a storm that would soon unleash its fury upon the unsuspecting world. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a smile that seemed to light up every room he entered, was the picture of domestic bliss, a husband and father who had it all. Little did anyone know that the seemingly perfect family was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces, sending shockwaves through the community that would echo for years to come. In the shadowy town of Frederick, Colorado, where the mountains loomed like ancient guardians and the sun dipped below the horizon with a final, fiery sigh, the lives of the Watts family were forever altered. In the eerie shadows of Colorado's rural plains, a chilling mystery unfolded that would grip the nation, the harrowing tale of the Chris Watts case. It began with whispers of discontent, murmurs of tension that had crept into the fabric of their small home, and as the days turned into weeks, the cracks in the facade of the Watts family began to show. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, melancholic shadows across the landscape, the small town of Frederick felt the weight of a darkness it had never known. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary husband and father, had vanished without a trace, leaving behind his wife, Samantha, and their 2 young children. The community was thrown into disarray, the once tranquil streets now echoing with whispers of suspicion and dread. The Watts family home, once a beacon of happiness, now stood as a haunting reminder of the unimaginable horror that had taken place within its walls. As the days turned into weeks, the police investigation deepened, unraveling a twisted tapestry of lies, deceit, and murder that would shock the world. It was a place where neighbors smiled warmly, children played carefree, and the night sky was a canvas of stars that painted dreams in the hearts of its inhabitants. In the serene expanse of Weld County, Colorado, where the rolling prairies stretched like a vast, unbroken tapestry of green, the life of Chris Watts unfolded in a quiet town that seemed to hide its secrets beneath a shroud of placid normalcy. But behind the smiling faces and the peaceful facade, a storm of darkness brewed, threatening to shatter the tranquility of this once idyllic community. Underneath the facade of suburban normalcy, a dark secret seethed, waiting to be unearthed. And as the story of the Chris Watts case slowly unraveled, the chilling truth behind the man who claimed to love his family more than anything else would reveal itself in the most harrowing of ways. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a gentle demeanor, was about to become the catalyst for a harrowing tale that would grip the nation, a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and unimaginable horror. In the eerie stillness of a Colorado autumn, the small town of Frederick buzzed with whispers that were as chilling as the frost that clung to the morning grass. It was there, amidst the serene backdrop of the Rocky Mountains, that the harrowing tale of Chris Watts unfolded, a story that would shake the very core of American justice. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, a young couple named Shannon and her 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, prepared for a quiet evening at home. Little did they know, their lives were about to spiral into a nightmare from which there would be no waking. Little did anyone know that the man who had seemed to be the epitome of domestic bliss was about to embark on a twisted path that would leave a trail of devastation in his wake, forever altering the lives of those who knew him and the fabric of the community he called home. The town would be forever altered, as the shroud of secrecy that had enveloped Chris would be lifted, revealing a monster lurking beneath the surface, a man who would become synonymous with the cruelest form of betrayal. In the hushed quiet of a Colorado winter, the town of Frederick was forever altered by the chilling revelation that its seemingly ordinary family had become entangled in a web of darkness and deceit. Shannon, a vibrant woman with a zest for life, had been a beacon of happiness for her family, but her world would soon shatter into a million pieces when her husband, Chris Watts, a seemingly normal man with a promising career, would become the center of a dark and twisted mystery. It was a night like any other when Chris Watts, a charismatic husband and father, returned from his job at a local fertilizer plant, only to unleash a storm of unimaginable horror upon his unsuspecting wife, Shannon, and their 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste. The search for her daughters led to a macabre discovery in a nearby reservoir, where the chilling reality of what Chris Watts had done became all too clear. As the community awoke to the tragic news, whispers of betrayal and sinister secrets began to circulate, painting a picture of a man who seemed to have it all: a doting husband, a loving father, a dedicated employee. But as the police investigation delved deeper, the truth emerged with a shock that sent tremors through the heart of America. Shannon, it was revealed, had been the first to fall, her lifeless body discovered in a shallow grave near their home. As the nation watched in horror, the case of Chris Watts would unravel a tale of twisted love, chilling lies, and a monstrous act that would leave an indelible mark on the American conscience, forever etching the names of Shannon, Bella, and Celeste into the annals of infamy. The community of Frederick, a place known for its picturesque landscapes and tight-knit community, was rocked to its core as the Watts family's story spiraled into a harrowing narrative of deceit and despair. In the heart of Colorado, where the mountains loom like the jagged teeth of a sleeping giant, a chilling tale of betrayal and murder unfurled, one that would shatter the tranquility of a small town and cast a long, dark shadow over the American heartland. The Watts family had moved to Frederick, Colorado, from Indiana, seeking a fresh start, but their idyllic life took a sinister turn when Shannon vanished without a trace. The tale of Chris Watts began with a seemingly perfect life, but as the layers of his facade peeled away, it revealed a man consumed by his own demons, a man who would stop at nothing to protect his secrets, even if it meant erasing the lives of those he claimed to love the most. In the heart of Colorado's serene plains, a storm of intrigue and tragedy brewed as the chilling tale of Chris Watts unfurled, a story that would captivate the nation and leave its mark on the annals of true crime. It was a summer day in 2018 when Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary husband and father, was found guilty of the brutal murder of his pregnant wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. The year was 2018, and the name Chris Watts became synonymous with horror as he was accused of the unthinkable murdering his pregnant wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, and then disposing of their bodies in a desperate bid to escape the consequences of his actions. As the days turned into weeks, whispers of foul play began to circulate, and the community was left reeling from the unimaginable. As the evidence mounted, the once picture-perfect family portrait crumbled into a haunting mosaic of lies, betrayal, and the ultimate betrayal of trust. In the eerie quiet of a Colorado autumn, the small town of Frederick was rocked by a case that would shatter the very fabric of its community. The harrowing details of the Watts' final moments, as Shannon and the children were found dead in the family's home, sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving an indelible scar on the hearts of those who knew them. The investigation led by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation soon revealed a web of deceit and horror, unraveling the chilling truth behind Chris Watts' facade of a loving family man. The chilling revelations of Chris Watts' sinister past, including his history of domestic violence and a previous conviction for child abuse, painted a portrait of a man who was anything but the innocent husband and father he portrayed. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom became a stage for a dramatic and disturbing narrative, with Chris Watts' chilling demeanor and manipulative tactics only serving to deepen the mystery surrounding his actions. Yet it was the chilling final moments captured on surveillance footage that would ultimately seal his fate, as the world watched in horror as Chris Watts confessed to the unthinkable, leaving behind a legacy of darkness that would forever haunt the souls of those who knew him. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a gentle smile and a caring demeanor, had been the picture of domestic bliss, a husband and father whose life seemed to be a tapestry woven with the threads of happiness and stability. In the shadowed heart of Colorado, amidst the relentless prairie winds that seemed to whisper secrets long buried, the tranquil town of Frederick was about to shatter beneath the weight of its darkest truth. The serene facade of family life in the Watts household, a picture-perfect scene of domestic bliss, was about to unravel in a series of tragic and chilling events. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, a husband and a father, would soon become the center of a harrowing investigation that would leave an indelible mark on the nation's conscience. But beneath the surface of this idyllic facade, a dark storm was brewing, and as the days grew shorter and the nights longer, the truth would emerge, revealing a tale of betrayal, despair, and the unfathomable depths of human malevolence. It all began with the sudden disappearance of Chris's pregnant wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. A disappearance that would unravel the lives of everyone connected to the Watts family, leading to a harrowing investigation that would expose the chilling truth behind the perfect family facade. As the first light of dawn filtered through the curtains of his modest home, little did Chris know that the day would begin with the sweetest of promises, but end with the shattering of his own soul, and the haunting echoes of a crime that would echo through the corridors of justice for years to come. In the heart of Colorado's serene plains, the tranquil town of Frederick lay in a peaceful slumber, its citizens unaware of the chilling events about to unfold. Little did they know, this would be the last time they would walk these quiet streets. It was an ordinary Thursday morning, the sun casting a warm, golden glow over the landscape, when a young couple, Shannon and Celeste, stepped out of their cozy home, their smiles as bright as the day. As the townspeople grappled with the unfathomable, whispers of deceit and horror began to spread like wildfire, weaving a tapestry of secrets and lies that would unravel the very fabric of their community. Days later, their bodies would be found, shrouded in mystery and shock, and the world would turn its eyes upon the enigmatic figure of Chris Watts, a seemingly normal man whose life would take a dark, twisted turn. The truth, it seemed, was as elusive as the mountain peaks that loomed in the distance, and only one question remained. What really happened to Shannon and Celeste? It was here, in the seemingly serene community of Frederick, that a chilling mystery began to unfold, shrouding the idyllic landscape in a cloak of horror. In the heart of the picturesque Colorado plains, where the sunsets painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, there lay a house that was once a beacon of domestic tranquility. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, had built his life with his wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, on the promise of a happy future. Yet, as the first whispers of suspicion crept into the close-knit neighborhood, the facade of the Watts family began to crumble, revealing a web of lies and betrayal that would shake the very foundations of their community. It was a tale of love, ambition, and the darkest of secrets, a story that would leave an indelible mark on the town and the lives of those who knew the Watts family all too well. In the quiet hamlet of Frederick, Colorado, the sun dipped low behind the Rocky Mountains, casting long shadows over the desolate streets where whispers of the Chris Watts case still lingered in the cold autumn air. It was a night of stark contrast, as the world outside the Watts family home remained bathed in the warm glow of dusk, while inside, a family's foundation was crumbling beneath the weight of a sinister secret. Chris Watts, a seemingly normal young father with a penchant for outdoor adventures, was the embodiment of the perfect husband and father. His wife, Samantha, the embodiment of the alluring woman who seemed to have it all. But beneath their picturesque facade, the couple's lives were unraveling, a dark tapestry woven with lies, betrayal, and the ever-growing void of a missing child. It was a place where secrets whispered through the wind, and the community knew each other like the back of their hands. It was on November 15, 2018, that their carefully constructed illusion crumbled, when their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, vanished without a trace, setting in motion a harrowing journey into the abyss of human evil that would shake the community and the nation. In the quiet hamlet of Frederick, Colorado, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the sprawling fields and modest homes. As the days turned into weeks, the story of the Watts family took on a life of its own, its every twist and turn echoing through the town and beyond, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who dared to follow the chilling narrative. Chris, a construction worker with a gentle demeanor and a penchant for photography, had everything going for him. He had a loving wife, Shannon, and two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, who were the light of his life. But as the first light of dawn broke over the small town, a series of disturbing events began to unfold, leading to a chilling revelation that would leave the entire community in shock and despair. Shannon had vanished without a trace, and the police were quickly called to the Watts home, where they discovered a disturbing scene. The house was in disarray, and the floor was soaked with blood. Yet on that fateful night in November 2018, the tranquility was shattered when a local man named Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary husband and father, became the focus of a harrowing investigation that would unravel the darkest corners of human nature. Chalik argued that his client was innocent, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. Chris, who initially seemed like the prime suspect, was arrested and charged with the heinous crimes of murder and child abuse. The police, led by Detective Michael Racy, immediately suspected foul play. As they delved deeper into the case, they uncovered a web of lies and deceit that would shock the town to its core. The trial that followed was a roller coaster of revelations, with chilling testimonies and graphic evidence that left the jury and the public reeling. Chris's defense attorney, James A. Chris Watts, was found guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The police had found Shannon's body in a shallow grave near the Watts home, and they discovered that Bella and Celeste had been suffocated to death in the bathtub. As the trial progressed, the story of the Chris Watts case captivated the nation, with headlines blaring the details of the harrowing crime. The public was left to grapple with the question: how could a man who appeared to have a perfect life be capable of such unspeakable acts? The trial concluded with a verdict that sent shockwaves through the community. In the shadowy town of Frederick, Colorado, where the crisp autumn air carried the scent of pine, and the streets were lined with homes that whispered secrets of their own, a chilling mystery unfolded. The story of the Chris Watts case serves as a chilling reminder of the potential darkness that lies within even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. As the community of Frederick tries to move on from the tragedy, they are left to ponder the question: what really happened that night, and what secrets were hidden behind the smiling faces of the Watts family? With each passing day, whispers of suspicion grew louder, and the small town of Frederick was thrown into a whirlwind of fear and intrigue. It was a story that would grip the nation, a tale of love, betrayal, and the darkest depths of human despair. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a promising future, had everything he needed to live a happy life. But as the leaves turned from green to gold, his life took a dark turn, and the lives of his wife, Shannon, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, would never be the same. The night of November 15, 2018, would become a night etched into the annals of infamy, as the Watts family vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of questions that would unravel the fabric of their seemingly perfect life. In the heart of Colorado, where the majestic Rocky Mountains loom as silent sentinels, a dark shadow fell over the peaceful town of Frederick. It was a winter's night, and the snowflakes danced like tiny angels, but the warmth of the cozy homes couldn't mask the chilling reality that would forever change the lives of the Watts family. As the investigation deepened, the truth would emerge, revealing a man who was anything but ordinary, a man whose actions would shock the world and leave an indelible mark on the community that once knew him as Chris Watts, the man who had everything to lose. As the police descended upon his modest home, they uncovered a harrowing tale of deceit, murder, and the unfathomable depths of human despair, leaving the entire community in shock and mourning. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a gentle demeanor, had been the epitome of domestic bliss, until the shattering revelation that his innocent facade was a facade of horror. In the eerie stillness of the Colorado wilderness, the whispers of the mountain winds carried tales of the enigmatic Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man whose life spiraled into a dark and twisted nightmare. The story of Chris Watts would unravel like a twisted tapestry, each thread revealing a more sinister truth, as the chilling details of his macabre crimes began to surface, shattering the once serene facade of a small town and casting a long, dark shadow over the American heartland. It was a crisp autumn evening, the air tinged with the promise of snow, when the lives of the Watts family were irrevocably altered. In the heart of Colorado, where the mountains loom like the jagged teeth of a sleeping giant, the tranquil town of Frederick was rocked by a chilling revelation that would shatter the very fabric of its serene existence. It was a cold, blustery morning when the tranquil hamlet of Frederick was rudely awakened by the shattering of innocence, a series of chilling discoveries that would unravel the fabric of a community and ignite a national firestorm of intrigue and speculation. The story of Chris Watts began with the serene facade of a family man, a husband and father who appeared to have it all. But beneath the polished exterior lay a web of deceit, manipulation, and the unfathomable depths of human evil. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a loving family, was about to become the center of a harrowing mystery that would captivate the nation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over As the shrouds of mystery began to lift, the harrowing truth emerged, revealing a man who would become synonymous with the darkest corners of human behavior, and whose name would be etched into the annals of infamy.